Hey shipmates, welcome back to the Sal Pitera channel. Now today we're going to talk about what you'll need as far as travel documentation in order to board a cruise ship. And we're going to talk about whether you're boarding it here in the United States or overseas. Travel documentation is very specific, and if you don't have the right ones, you could be denied boarding. So we'll be back to tell you all about your travel documentation right after this. Hey guys, welcome back. Before we begin, just a couple of quick things. As always, if you're not subscribed to our channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, click the little bell notification, that'll let you know when we upload new videos. And of course, it's totally free for you, means the world to us. Also, we put out travel videos specifically on cruise ships all week long, so if you have any suggestions or any videos that you would like to see, make sure you let me know in the comments down below, and we'll make sure we put out a video to answer those questions. Now today, we're going to talk about travel documentation. So you have your cruise booked and you're on your way to the port, but did you know that you're going to need specific documentation that Homeland Security and your cruise line will require in order to board the cruise ship? For the purpose of this video, we're going to talk about natural United States citizens. And what I mean by that is you're born here in the US and you're a United States citizen naturally, not an immigrant from some other country. Now let's start with the fact that if you're leaving on a cruise that begins and comes back both to the same port in the United States of America, most people think that you're going to need a passport for that. And in reality, you don't. Now, let me explain. First of all, I have to let you know that the cruise line, as well as Homeland Security, strongly recommend that you do have a passport, regardless of wherever your cruise is traveling from, whether it's here in the United States, coming back to the United States, and I recommend it personally too. Because while I'm going to tell you the alternates for what you can have instead of a passport, the last thing you want is to be stuck out of the country without a passport. Like, let's say, for instance, you use the alternate documentation, which I'm about to tell you about, and you're going to, let's say, Mexico, or one of the other ports down in the Caribbean that's outside of the United States, and you were to get sick, end up in the hospital, and then miss your cruise ship coming home. Well, they're still going to get you home. I'm sure the local consulate will take your alternate travel documentation and find a way to get you back, since you are in fact a United States citizen. But it's much easier if you have a passport. So if you can afford a passport, I strongly recommend that you apply for one. Make sure you do it at least 3 months in advance of your cruise, because it can take some time to get it. But I strongly recommend having a passport. That being said, you don't have to have a passport in order to travel on a cruise ship, specifically if the cruise is leaving from the United States and returning home to the same port. In that case, all you'll need is a photo identification issued by the government of the United States or your local state, such as a driver's license or a state-issued identification card, and an original birth certificate. Now, when I say original, I don't necessarily mean the one they actually gave you when you were born. I mean original as in you have to go to the county of the state you live in. They will give you a copy of it. They'll put a raised seal on it. That's what I mean by original. They won't take a photocopy. So if you just bring a photocopy of your birth certificate, you take a good chance that they won't let you board the ship, and you could end up missing your vacation. So again, you'll need a photo identification issued by the government, like a driver's license or an ID card, and an original birth certificate. Now, there's a few more things to also consider. First of all, if you're traveling with a minor, under the age of 16, they only need to have that original birth certificate, but I strongly recommend you take that minor to your local Department of Motor Vehicles. At just about any age, they will issue a government-issued ID as well. And for the same reason, if you're out of the country with that government-issued ID, just makes things a little bit safer for you should you lose track of your child, makes it a little easier for them to find their way home. You'll also need, if you're traveling with a minor and you're not their parent or legal guardian, or you're just one of their parents, let's say you're divorced and your ex-husband or ex-wife is not coming on the cruise, you will need a letter, preferably notarized, from that person saying it's okay for you to travel with that minor. If you don't have it, I promise you, they won't let you board the cruise ship. Also, if you're not bringing a passport and you're using that birth certificate and state-issued identification, and you've changed your name, let's say it's your honeymoon cruise and you got married the day beforehand, and your last name is going to be different, you will need proof of that name change as well. So make sure you bring a marriage certificate that's signed and recorded, or some kind of proof, if you change your name legally, of the change of name, because you will need that if you're not traveling with your passport and your name doesn't match up correctly. Okay, now let's talk about cruises that are either transatlantic or European cruises. There is no exception to this. You will need a passport. So if you're traveling on that European cruise, you will need to have a passport. They will not just take a birth certificate and state-issued identification card, as well as you may need a visa for the countries that you're visiting in. So make sure you check with your travel agent, check with the cruise line. They'll let you know for sure what you'll need for that transatlantic cruise. And also cruises that stop in Cuba. Now, I did make a video specifically for this, and I'll link that up above. You should see it right now in the cards, and you can watch that video specifically. But if you're traveling to Cuba, you will need to have a passport as well. You'll also need to have a visa for Cuba, which most cruise lines will help you get, as well as a travel affidavit as well. It's a reason to visit Cuba. You can't just go to Cuba and say, I'm just visiting because I want to see the place. You have to have a reason for being there, and the cruise line will help you with that as well. Again, see the video that I'm linking up above, and you'll be able to see all about traveling to Cuba. I appreciate you watching this video. Please don't take this video lightly. You will need the proper travel documentation to satisfy Homeland Security as well as the cruise line in order to board the ship. So the information I'm providing in this video is accurate as of today. But please, if you're going on a cruise, make sure you check with the cruise line, check with the Department of Homeland Security, make sure the documentation that you're bringing is going to satisfy the cruise line and allow you to board the ship. The last thing you want is to miss your cruise because you don't have the right documentation. Also, one final note, the passport card that the government is now issuing does not take the place of a passport. So in this video, when I said you need a passport card will not do. It's an actual passport, the booklet that they give you. I'll see you next time.